I love that we all come together to support one another to help really drive and boost the industry that we are in. Hi everyone and good morning. Thank you so much for joining us and happy new week. We are live. Alyssa is here. Hi Alyssa.
Hello. Hi, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. How are you today?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, we're really well, thank you. So Alyssa is here to talk us through her COVID-19 social media strategies. If you have any questions for Alyssa, then please pop them into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and I will ask Alyssa these questions at the end of the session. So Alyssa, over to you, and I will see you at the end.
Great, thanks so much, Emma. So yeah, good morning, everyone. I basically wanted to split this into two sections. One is the content strategy and one is campaign strategy during COVID-19. So I'm from Stalk. We're a social media agency based in Dubai, and it's probably been the most popular questions that we've received coming in. So we mostly work in the beauty industry, but we do have a lot of retailers and corporate clients as well, and FMCG groups. So I think that gives us quite a good insight into how businesses are coping as a whole. And firstly, if we have a look at the content that you're putting out, primarily on Instagram and Facebook, because those would be your number one channels for the beauty industry in the region, it's definitely really important to continue communicating with your audience. Don't think that just because COVID-19 is happening and there's a pandemic that everything should be on pause. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes a lot of smaller businesses make. And if you look at the bigger businesses, it's not necessarily just kind of due to budget, but due to having strong social media strategies. They understand the notion of continuing to engage with customers, whether it's giving, giveaways, whether it's giving freebies, whether it's putting out great content for self-care at home. So the idea is not to just continue selling, but to just continue communicating with your customers. So definitely creating a very strong content strategy, making sure that you're adding value to your customers' lives at home is really, really important during this period. Whether you do it in English or Arabic or both really comes down to the regions you're targeting. So we find that if you're targeting the UAE only, English is fine. If you're targeting the Gulf as a whole, especially Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, you should definitely use Arabic content as well as English content when you're trying to engage with your customers or potential new customers, because English is still, it's still not so fluently spoken in those countries. So yes, firstly is content. So content's really important, the written content. Visual content, definitely looking at GIFs and short videos. Again, you don't have to do a full-on photo shoot or video shoot. Again, I know that's not very feasible right now because of the situation. So you can't really gather a whole production company. Plus, it can be quite costly. But looking at kind of stock images, stock videos, putting together like a nice short promo video for a product, or putting together a fun short GIF is really great, again, for engagement. So avoid just putting together posters that are static and having them go out every few days, because that's very generic content. So the more moving content that you can put out, the better engaged your customers would be. And a lot of people are spending time on social media now that they're at home. There's been a 40% increase. So we're partners with Facebook. There's been a 40% increase in social media usage. So this is really, really prime time to communicate those, ingredients that you've got, or your USPs, or, why customers should go to your salon, or buy your products as opposed to competitors. So this is a time when you've really got their attention without having to fight for it, quote unquote. So yes, again, back to the visual and written content, making sure that you've got something which is dynamic and moving is super important. In terms of talking about COVID, it's okay to put 1 or 2 articles or posts about kind of, keeping safe, keeping healthy. That's great. But again, avoid just speaking about COVID the whole time. Realistically, I mean, even personally, kind of as a company, you don't want to keep reading about COVID everywhere you go. It's already in the news, it's already on TV. That the best thing to do is really to just, have one post to tell your customers that yes, you're aware that COVID is here, you're sorry about the situation, here are the measures you're taking as a salon to ensure the public safety. But after that, focus on content for beauty. So people don't want to keep reading about COVID and watching videos about COVID. Everyone knows it's happening. Everyone kind of wants to forget. Everyone wants to read content which is kind of more interesting. So avoid kind of repeating COVID a lot. And talking about hand sanitization and public distancing and social distancing. So definitely have one post, clarify that you've covered that and clarify that you're aware and that you're taking strict measures as a company. After that, move on and look at content that you can add value to people who are at home. So, I mean, ideas are down to you, but it could literally be, tips for maintaining colour because people can't touch up their roots at the moment. It could be, tips for hair conditioning because people can't go in for hair treatments at the moment. So, or nail care, self-care at home in terms of their nails. It could even be something as simple as, how to remove gel nails at home. So try to keep it very, very current. Try to keep it very, very relevant to what your customers are experiencing at home and the fact that they can't come and visit you right now. So that's in terms of content. If I move on to campaigns, again, a lot of our very successful kind of retailers and beauty brands that are still, generating good revenue, or even if they're not, are known in the industry for being very big. They really capitalize off these situations because costs per lead are much lower, cost per view, cost per conversion if you're selling a product, or cost per booking as well, because it's, as you know, it's a bidding process with Google, with Facebook, with Instagram. So at the moment, the bids are very, very low because generally speaking, there's very low activity across the world, but also across the country. So when you are bidding for these keywords, they're a lot cheaper than they usually would be. So if there's any time which is good for running a lead generation campaign, it's definitely now. In terms of contacting and upselling to them now, you wouldn't do that, of course, because you can't invite them to your salons. You can't take those bookings physically. But building that database of communities, building that database of potential customers is really good to do now, because the costs for those databases will be a lot lower. The cost of running those ads will be a lot lower. So we found that across, again, all industries, not just beauty, the ads we're running on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram are requiring less than 50% of our clients' usual budgets. And it is due to COVID. It is because a lot of companies have pulled back and decided not to advertise because they don't know what's going on. Realistically speaking, and we all know this, yes, COVID is here, but it's not going to be here forever. At very, worst case scenarios, it's going to be a year. DTCM have already published that in July, tourists will be coming back in. So we estimate that around September, October, things will start picking up again. We fully understand that, businesses will be affected, especially in terms of revenue and growth, for at least the next year. even if their doors are open for business. So that's understandable. But what we're trying to get at here is don't fall into the trap of pausing all your advertising, pausing all your communication, because when things do restore to normality, you'll be hitting yourself 10 times as hard, because you would have probably lost followers, you would have lost engagement, you would have lost existing customers, because you haven't taken this time to continue speaking to them. You haven't taken this time to build more leads, to basically generate more inquiries, to generate more bookings. So yeah, that's definitely the biggest takeaway. And it's quite interesting because we work with everything from local brands to kind of SMEs right up to multinational brands, and it's interesting to see their strategies and how they're dealing with this. And again, a lot of the multinational brands, obviously I can't name the specific companies, but a lot of the multinational brands are doing things completely differently to local brands and SMEs in terms of their communication. And yeah, as I said a few minutes ago, they're really taking this chance to build their followers, to build their database, so that once the market kind of restores to somewhat normality, we can run campaigns to that database that they've built, and immediately they're going to get thousands of conversions. Or, you know, we can run campaigns to those followers that we've grown during COVID. So upselling or speaking to new followers that you've gained and generating business or bookings from those are always going to be a lot easier to convert than if you stop all activity and resume everything after COVID. You're automatically going to get less bookings and less conversions because you haven't taken the time to build that database. So definitely, if you're into e-commerce, or if you're selling beauty products, now's your prime time online. If you are a salon owner, now's the time to post quality content, to focus on growing your followers, quality followers, especially in your neighborhood or in your vicinity, and looking at running campaigns, lead generation campaigns. So who would be your potential new customers, kind of, uploading your existing databases, targeting lookalike audiences. Have that database at hand for when you're ready to actually promote that you've opened. And then when you are ready and you do a big kind of, a post to announce that you've relaunched, you'll automatically get more bookings. I think I deliberately touched on a relaunch just now. It's kind of in par with social media, but also slightly off trajectory. But yeah, we definitely would recommend doing some sort of relaunch or kind of reopening. It doesn't have to necessarily be, a party with balloons, but it would be good to make a bit of noise about the fact that you've reopened once you do reopen at full capacity again. So again, it's just a way of reminding your customers, or bringing them together. It could just be, a coffee and a chat. It could just be, some canapes, but try to treat it as almost like a rebirth or a relaunch, because it would have been almost 3 to 6 months that you would have been closed or not operating at full capacity. So don't kind of reopen and start operating as usual. Do try to have some kind of post-COVID launch ceremony, which again, you can do a campaign about. So you can send an emailer out, you can do a fun post on your social channels, an Insta story. Try to get a kind of gathering of your old customers, potential new customers, to come and visit your salons when you do open again at full capacity. That will help you big time launch again at a faster pace and start building that momentum for you again. So those are kind of, a few tricks that we've got that we've been using. Another platform that I can speak to you all about is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a great tool, mostly for B2B, as you know, so less to consumers, but more to businesses. So if you are looking for, a new, essentially even a new space if you've outgrown your space or you simply can't afford to rent it anymore. So if you're looking for retail units, if you're looking for new kind of beauty product lines, partnerships, LinkedIn's also really good for running campaigns. So we've definitely found running kind of partnership campaigns with your brands, or with your band, with your partners, is also a really, really good way to capitalize off exposure. So if you're using, again, so, some of the main name brands that are distributing to you, if you're buying a lot of their products, again, try to reach out to them now during this time through LinkedIn, or through your existing partnerships if you're dealing with the buying managers, and see if you can do some kind of fun collaboration, fun giveaway. That's also really effective. And a lot of the brands that you are buying your hair products from are going to have quite big follower bases and kind of large amounts of engagement because they're well-known brands worldwide. So if you can, again, this could be anything from tools, equipment, shampoos, conditioners, hair treatments. So have a look at your stock list and have a look at who your suppliers are, and see if you can do some kind of cross collaborations with them. It could be that you give a pampering day away in collaboration with the brand. It could be that you're giving away some of their products in collaboration with a pampering day. So see if there's something that you can both leverage, and see if there's some way you can also capitalize off those suppliers, which is, again, a free marketing tool for you and very effective because most of them do have a strong presence in the region already. So yeah, that's a good one. The last thing I wanted to touch on, I don't know how we're doing for time. It's a bit difficult to tell. Hang on. Okay, great. So we've got 20 minutes left. So the last thing I wanted to touch on, again, we get a huge number of inquiries about influencers. Which influencers to use? Should you use them? Should you work with macro influencers or micro influencers? Should you use influencers now during COVID or not? The answer is yes, definitely. Invest in working with influencers during COVID. It's a great time because they can obviously post that content from home, and you can post them products to their homes as well. So you don't need to have that physical contact. Yes, you can't do their hair or makeup or nails because they can't come to visit your salons, but you can always send them products and get them to promote you anyway. It could even be just a fun and silly video of them promoting your salon, saying that they need to get their balayage done and they can't wait for you to reopen, with a sad face. So it doesn't have to be something commercial. The more natural it is, which could just be a case of an influencer sharing their pain that they can't come and visit you or can't come and get their nails done and their nails look terrible, something like that is a lot more fun and genuine and more appealing to customers than having a very staged commercial with perfect hair and perfect nails. So definitely try to keep it natural. That's our first advice. We have worked with a lot of salons in the past, or beauty brands in the past, who strive for perfection. Yes, at the salon and when you're doing the hair and nails, definitely strive for perfection. But in terms of campaigns, we have found it's been a lot more. We've produced better results for campaigns that have been more natural and been more genuine. So it's okay to have campaigns like I mentioned. So people who need to get their nails done, their nails don't look very nice anymore, and they miss visiting you, or they need to really get their hair done, or their hair feels dry, and then they tag you and say they can't wait for you to reopen again, or they can't wait to come and visit you again. So think of more COVID-19 situations to do your campaigns around, if you're running any campaigns over the next few months or during Ramadan. In terms of which influencers to target, if you do have a budget, of course, you can go for macro influencers who've got millions of followers, and depending on who you choose, you would get good traction from that in terms of kind of follower growth, engagement growth. But if not, and you are tight for budget, don't underestimate the power of micro influencers. So working, and we found this as well as a company, working with 5-6 micro influencers is often more effective than one macro influencer. And a micro influencer could be anyone, with even 2,000 to 3,000 followers up to say 40,000 followers or 50,000 followers. So the idea is to look at each profile individually. If you find, for example, a mum with 3,000 followers, based in your community, for example, if you're a salon in Motor City and she lives in Motor City, she's part of a mums group in in a school in Motor City, she's got quite a few followers. That's a kind of engaged and active mum that you would want to target, because you know that she's got a good relationship with other mums in the school. She's part of the committee, for example, at her child's school. So really have a look at kind of micro influences for your community, because realistically as salons, you are very community based. It's very rare, unless you've built an existing client base or a client relationship, it's very rare for new clients to to become regular clients if they live across the country or across the city. So as you probably all know already, targeting your local communities or local vicinities is the most effective way of basically ramping up and building new relationships. So yeah, definitely look at micro influencers and who you can potentially collaborate with. During COVID-19, as I said, it could be product related, so you're giving them whatever it is, sending them hair treatments or shampoos or conditioners, or it could just be a fun campaign that they need to get their nails and hair done because they're a mum at home stressed with their kids and they want to do some self-pampering. Or it could be a nice little hamper you send them for self-pampering at home with a few good tips of what they can do until you reopen again. So think of creative ways that you can engage with with mums, with dads, with or even younger communities, and fun campaigns that you can do, as opposed to just getting them to post their hair looking pretty and done, or posting their nails looking pretty and having it all done. It's nice to see, definitely, it's visually very aesthetic, but it's what everyone's doing. So having something which is a bit different to the norm, or kind of a bit more personal and engaging, will definitely help you stand out from the crowd. So yeah, micro influencers is a big one. How to qualify them in terms of whether an influencer is good or not. Honestly, there's no perfect formula. It is a case of trial and error. What we definitely do notice though is obviously the engagement rate on the page is super important. So if they've got 10,000 followers, but then 15 likes on each picture, their engagement's very, very low. Take a look at their insights. So ask them to share insights with you about where their followers are based. So again, you might find, I don't know, a Russian model with lovely hair that you want to work with, a good number of followers based in Dubai, but then you look at her insights and most of her followers are still based in Russia. So it's useless for you. So definitely have a look at their insights and ask them to send, their audience and insights to you, so you can make sure that, okay, most of their followers out of these 10,000 are based in the UAE and are based in Dubai or are based in Saudi, wherever you're targeting. The second thing is looking at contracting them for longer periods of time. So again, working with influencers on a one-off basis. So, one campaign here or one campaign there, and then expecting to get thousands of inquiries or thousands of followers from that is really unrealistic. Unless you're doing a campaign with Huda Beauty, who has 30 million followers, in which case, yeah, one post would probably get you about 1,000 or 2,000 followers at least. Unless you're doing it with a macro influencer, you should really look at investing three months at least with a brand ambassador. That's what we like to call them. So you're contracting an influencer not just for one post, but for a season. So if we take this analogy of a mum that I used, a mum in Motor City, for example, it would be a case of, okay, let's do a social media plan with you for 3 months. these will be the campaigns. You know, one will be for Ramadan, one will be for Eid. You know, one will be a fun video. You know, this should be the content of the video. So we'd obviously direct the video's content and the messaging. And then obviously we edit the video to make it look a bit more professional before we post it. So you know, you'd have maybe a video campaign, maybe you'd have a still campaign as well. So just a static post that she does, you know, of her nails done at home, and she's so happy because you've sent her some nail polish, for example. You know, the third one could be a pedicure, an at-home pedicure, or a face mask or something. So having campaigns, numerous campaigns for a few months, means that particular influencer is constantly posting you and tagging you, and that helps her followers build credibility, or that helps her build credibility amongst her followers about your salon or about your brand. That is super important and really, really overlooked. The amount of salons and brands we deal with who, you know, expect an influencer to post once, come and visit once, do their hair once, and then, you know, want results overnight. That's super difficult. Even if you're dealing with an influencer with 100,000 followers, if you do her hair and she posts it on her story, it's there for 24 hours, only about, you know, a quarter of her followers would have seen that story, simply because, you know, the others might have missed it, or they might have not been online, or, you know, they might have been busy that day. So if you really want to engage with the full 100,000 followers, if that's who you're dealing with, or the full 10,000 followers, if you're dealing with a micro-influencer, you need to do campaigns with them, multiple campaigns, where their followers are seeing your brand multiple times. And you know, that's a kind of marketing hack above the line and even off social. So when we do campaigns, you know, when brands do campaigns for a new product launch, you usually see it on a billboard, on their website, potentially on TV, on the radio, on social media. You see it a few times before you make that purchase. And you know, this is something which a lot of big brands do very successfully. So on a micro level, you should be doing the same. So if you're engaging with an influencer, engage with them properly, contract them properly, you know, do create a storyboard from A to Z, make sure the posts aren't random. So if, you know, if you're doing a series with them, make sure it's, you know, nail care, hair care, whatever, face care, body care. So it actually makes sense from A to Z. So look at doing these fun campaigns with influencers and contracting a few. So again, if you're going to work with 5 or 6 micro influencers, you know, look at ones that are different age groups, look at ones that are different categories. So if one's a mum, the second one could be, you know, a young couple, or you know, a young single female in Dubai. Obviously, the campaigns you'll be doing with her are very different to the campaigns you'll be doing with a mum. Or, you know, if you're engaging with men, so look at kind of grooming kits, or, you know, self-care grooming. So try to think of fun but relevant campaigns that you can do, and definitely contract your ambassadors for 3 to 6 months. It also stops them from working with other brands in the meantime, because again, that really damages your kind of credibility. If they're posting your salon one day and another salon another day, you may not be able to stop them from doing that kind of legally. But by default, if you're contracting them for 3 months and you're doing a 3-month campaign, there's a much lower chance they're going to be working with other brands, because you're working with them for that 3 months. In terms of payment, you might find that a few of these micro influencers, you know, I don't want to kind of put out prices, because some of the influencers we deal with, I mean, the prices really vary depending on the profile. But it's a good idea to either invest a small amount with those influencers, or have a look at any barter deals that you can do. So give them salon credit for when you reopen. Obviously give them products if you can send them any hair care products, skincare products, you know, nail care products. So those are really good ideas of doing things on a budget, if you're lower on budget. But yeah, again, back to content. It's really important that you focus on the right content, and actually working with more influencers that have less followers is more effective than working with necessarily, you know, one huge influencer who's got lots of followers, but you've only got kind of one trajectory. So if you're working with several small ones, you've got a kind of wider spread, because obviously they've got different follower bases, you know, different demographics to each other. So again, that means that customers are seeing your brand on various pages. So definitely look at kind of quality, yes, but quantity as well. That's really important for spreading awareness, which is hugely important, especially amongst your communities of salons. So yeah, that's basically everything. I tried to kind of squeeze everything into sorry if I went a bit fast. I tried to kind of squeeze everything in the time that we've got. But yeah, please do send across your questions, and I'm happy to.
Yeah, we have had a few, so I'll just go through them all. Okay. I have a large following on Instagram. However, the engagement is low. What strategies would you suggest to improve this?
Okay, so definitely looking at competitions and giveaways is a big one. So that helps people like and comment. So having terms and conditions, like, you know, like our previous pictures, and comment, I don't know, leave a comment with a best friend, or, you know, someone that you would nominate for having this treatment, or someone that deserves this treatment or deserves to you know, to come in and be pampered. That's a really great way to build relationships with your customers, but also for them to build relationships with their friends or mums or whoever they nominate. So that really helps with engagement. So competition's a big one. And video content as well is a big one. So with a lot of our clients that have high engagement rates, the biggest things we push is running GIFs, moving content, video content, and people just stay on your page longer. They comment more, you know, they end up liking more because it's more engaging. So video content and competitions are two big ones. And then the last thing, which is influencers. I had a chat about influencers just now. So those three would be would definitely help to engage your to increase your engagement rate.
Okay, fab. Okay, next question. What the multinational brands that you spoke about but you couldn't name, can you give an example of a marketing strategy that they are doing that is different to what maybe local companies are doing?
So the strategies is basically just what I was discussing in terms of what we've noticed that our local brands are doing, or smaller brands and bigger brands. So the takeaway from it is that bigger brands are really focusing on quality content to this day. So even during COVID, you know, we're creating strategies where we're looking at how can we engage with their customers. You know, are we putting out English content and Arabic content where relevant? How can we create fun videos, self-care videos? How can we avoid talking about COVID so much and more about adding value to our customers who are now at home? So those are the kind of plans that they're putting together, and still running campaigns. So running campaigns to generate leads, running campaigns for awareness, leads that they will upsell to, you know, at a later date when COVID's over. So definitely look at working with influencers still, running campaigns still, and running really strong content, because the user base on social media now is a lot higher than it used to be. And when people go back to work, that will drop again because they'll be back to routine. So a huge one is driving content.
Okay, fab. Are there any programs that are easy to use to edit videos that you could recommend or suggest, as I am not a specialist editor? Just the basics, nothing complicated.
Okay. Honestly, I don't know, to be honest, because we do everything in-house. So our video content producers do them from scratch. So honestly, I couldn't tell you. If you have a look online though, if you look at some recommendations, there should be a few, or even on the App Store. I think there are plenty. But yeah, we don't really use them. Or the ones that our designers use are probably quite complex. So yeah, sorry, I don't really know.
It's okay. If anyone knows, then please put it in the chat. Okay, next question. When we do campaigns with influencers, do we provide them with content, or should it be authentic and ask them to share what they want to do? So should the brand or the company dictate the content, or should it be down to the influencers to be a bit more kind of sporadic and authentic, which I think you kind of touched on, that there should be a story arc, but is that the best way, or can being authentic provide just as good a content?
Definitely have a storyboard. Definitely have your campaigns, your directions, the type of written content, visual content going out. Make it super, super clear in your agreement with them. And you can make that content authentic. So even though it's staged, even though you're directing it, you can still direct a campaign which is authentic, like the one that I gave as an example. I need to do my nails, or whatever, my nails look so bad, I need to go back to the salon, I can't wait for them to reopen. That's something which is very authentic, but you've created that campaign yourself. So definitely make sure that right down to the caption, and even the tags that they're tagging, the hashtags, that you have taken full control of that. It's a nice idea to let influencers do their thing, but honestly, you're going to get the least out of it that way. And they might go off on a tangent and misrepresent your brand. So it's much, much better to be super clear about what they're putting out, when they're putting it out, how often they're putting it out, so that there's, it's completely transparent between the both of you as to who's responsible for what.
Okay, perfect. So for the, we have had someone comment about the video editing tool. Thanks, Samantha. InShot is great and easy to use once you get your head around it for video editing. So thank you for putting that in the group. Great, cool. Well, if anyone's got any further questions for Alyssa, then feel free to pop me an email and I can connect you up with Alyssa after this session. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for your time this morning. Great insights. And yeah, if anyone has any further questions, then my email is emma@professionalbeauty.ae, and I can connect you with Alyssa if that's what you would like. So Alyssa, thank you for your time. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a great rest of your week. We have obviously broadcasts going out every day at 10 a.m. Tomorrow is a broadcast on hygiene in your salon, step by steps with Galina. So that was really interesting. So please do join us for that. And the link to register is on our website, professionalbeauty.ae. So yeah, all the best, everyone. Take care, stay safe, and thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.